To those who follow me for my musical content, this is a school project. And to my fellow classmates, hello. Today we are going to be talking about John Wayne Gacey Jr., also known as Poggo the Kill Clone. So let's get started. John Wayne Gacey Jr. was a half Danish, half Polish man who raped, sexually assaulted, tortured, and murdered young teenagers and men, or every teenager actually. With that, just got a whole lot more creepy. He was eventually caught, proven guilty of his crimes, and sentenced to death. But who was he? This is my video about John Wayne Gacey Jr. Enjoy. The life of John Wayne Gacey began all at 17th of March 1942 in Chicago, Illinois. Him and his siblings would have to deal with an abusive and alcoholic father who would beat the crap out of them with a razor strap. Not sounding very nice, huh? If he ever thought they misbehave, he was going to, well, again, beat the crowd out of them. He even physically assaulted their mother. His sister Karen would later speak up about him and his siblings toughen up against their father. Gacey wouldn't cry anymore, and I guess that's a good thing? No, not really. Yeah, okay. He didn't feel so well at school because he found out he was attracted to men, which is no big deal today, but in 1942, you're pretty screwed. Yeah. John started his career out in the 1960s by working at a fast food chain. I don't know which, but he worked at a fast food chain. Later in the 1970s, he would become a self-made building contractor and Democratic bragging captain whose Chicago suburbs. Well liked in his community, he was pretty much gathered all like social organizations, and he was by the way married and divorced 2 times, and he had 2 children and in addition 2 stepdaughters. John Wayne Gacey was a member of a Chicago area Jolly Joker clown club that frequently performed at children's parties, charity fundraisers, all sorts of things, and he did it as his alter ego Poggo the Clone, or Patches the Clone. Well, the kill clone part of him, he would offer construction work or some other form of ruse, and then he would capture them, sexually assault them, torture, and eventually strangle most of them with his bare hands and or a rope. He was a simple man. Under a detective conversation and during our surveillance, he discussed his work as a clone, and he said a very memorable phrase where he said, "Clones can get away with murder," which I gotta say, have you watched it recently? I think it was inspired by him, but I mean, come on. The first person I would suspect in today's world would be a creepy looking clone. In 1968, he was convicted of sexually assaulting 2 teen boys. He was though released on parole in 1970, but the following year he was accused for sexually assaulting another teen boy. The charges were though dropped because the teen boy didn't meet up to the trial. In the middle of the 1970s, 2 more young males accused Gacey for rape, and the police began questioning him. In In court, he referred those years as his cruising years, where he committed the most of his murder. How nice! On the 11th of December 1978, 15-year-old Robert Priest went missing. The last who ever saw him was his mother, who reported he was in front of the drugstore, but he was going over to Gacey to discuss a potential construction job. And by the way I'm telling this, I think you can hear that construction job conversation didn't go so well. 10 days later, the police, while searching in Gacey's house in Norwood, Illinois, they found evidence that he had committed numerous of crimes, including murder. His first known murder was in 1972 on a 16-year-old boy called Timothy McCoy, and after luring the youth over to his house, and yeah, he was a creep. After a lengthy period of police surveillances, there is discovered loads of human remains in the trenches in the crawl space beneath Gacey's house. Gacey eventually confessed to kill about 33 people.